Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Grandma. Today I'm going to be making for you peanut butter jelly bars. I may make another recipe if I have time. Let's see how this one goes. And I do want to shout out and say thank you very much to my new subscriber, Waverly8100. I hope you continue watching and enjoying my videos. I did send you an email back thanking you when I got your email, so hopefully you got it, but if you didn't, there's my thank you, and keep enjoying my easy peasy recipes, friendly, kid friendly, everything you want to do, but without costing you a fortune. You can cook with me. So today we're going to start with these peanut butter jelly bars. The first thing you do is preheat your oven to 350. Now the recipe says to take non-stick spray, the cooking spray, and coat a 9 by 13 inch baking pan. I don't have it. I very rarely use it. I can just cut it with butter with a paper towel. It works just as well. Today though, what I did is I lined it with parchment paper. This is easy. You make it a little longer, just enough to cover the bottom, but a little wider. So when you take out your baked goods, you lift it right out just like that, and everything comes out of the pan, and it saves so much cleaning up. Parchment paper is your friend. I use it quite often. So there's my pan prepared. That's prepared. So what we do now is we put the first, it only calls for 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 ingredients. That's it. So we're going to put the first 6 ingredients in and mix it all together. So the first ingredient is 2 1/4 cup of flour, all-purpose flour. So we're going to mix that in, and remember, like I said, always use the flat measuring cup when you're measuring out dry ingredients. Otherwise you're going to have off. Just try it sometime. Take wet ingredients and put it in a dry measuring cup and dry into a wet, and just see the difference. It's not a lot, it's subtle, but when it comes to flour, sometimes you're going to get it's going to be too dry or too wet if you don't use enough. So there's 1 cup. I love this measuring cup. I got it, I believe, from Tupperware years and years ago. It's got the dry ingredients here, and then you flip it over, and it's got the spout for the wet ingredients. So it's great. It's easy to have. 1 cup, 1 utensil does 2 things. So it is only a 1 cup measuring cup on both ends. So I do have to add a little, double up rather than getting my 2 cup measuring cup out. That's okay. So there's 2 cups and 2 1/4. That goes in the pan, in the bowl. So that's it. Peanut butter, or butter's in. Now you use a half a stick of butter, half a cup or half a stick. In Canada we have tubs of butter or bricks. You don't have sticks. That's in the States. But that's okay. So a 1 stick equals half a cup. So you take that and you get your half a cup measuring cup. Half a cup measuring cup, where are you? There we are. And measure out half a cup. In goes the margarine, butter, whatever you choose to use. I don't usually buy butter. I go for the less expensive. It works just as well, and I really haven't discovered any other taste, that's any different taste. So the butter is in, the flour is in. Now we're going to use 1/2 a cup of creamy peanut butter. I have made these before with crunchy peanut butter. If that's your preference, go ahead and use it. The recipe does call for smooth peanut butter, but it's okay to use crunchy, because then you get a little extra flavor, you get a little extra taste of those peanuts. So in goes 1/2 a cup of peanut butter. And the trick I just did is I measured the butter out first in my 1/2 a cup measuring cup. So that way, when I put the peanut butter in, it slid right out nice and clean. There's nothing left in that measuring cup. That's a little tip for you. To butter it, or especially something like honey or molasses, it just slides right out of there. So there, the next one is 1/2 a cup of brown sugar, packed brown sugar. Now, the trick is here, is I do not have a 1/2 a cup of brown sugar left. This is what I tell you in my tips. Make sure you've got all your ingredients before you start a recipe. But for something like this, when it is, when a recipe calls for brown sugar, you can add white sugar in place of it. Now I have like 3/4 of, like I have about 1/4 of a cup. So to that I'm going to add a little more white sugar. And it does call for 1/4 a cup of granulated sugar as well. So I'm going to fill that to make it a 1/2 cup. That's going in. And instead of adding 1/4 of a cup more, I'm just going to add a little less than that because I've already added the white sugar. So in that goes. Those are your main ingredients. Oh, no, sorry, an egg. Gotta put my egg in. And in goes the egg. Those are your top ingredients. Now you can use a mixer for this, or you can just stir it. Either way, whatever you find easier. Sometimes mixer is good, but when it's thick and a little dry of ingredients like this, I find that I don't have a stand mixer. That's my next step. When I get famous on YouTube, people, I'm buying me a stand mixer. But right now, I just have a little hand mixer, and it doesn't really do well for thick ingredients like this. You just keep mixing it up. It will not take long. The peanut butter and the egg and the butter is going to make everything nice and soft. So you just keep mixing and mixing. You can get right in there with your hands if you like. That's always an option. I've done that a lot of times, especially with sugar cookie dough. It gets everything right down mixed in. And that is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to get right in there. Hands are washed. Don't let anybody panic. My hands got washed right before I started the video. And there we go. And you see, and you squeeze and you turn things over to get right down at the bottom, and you give it a good mix and a squeeze and just keep. It's almost like kneading bread. It's very, very satisfying. You just kind of keep mixing until it's all nicely blended. Now it's going to be crumbly, and that's exactly what you wanted. This is, if you can see that on my camera, that's exactly what you want, a nice crumbly mixture. So now I'm going to keep out 1 cup of this. I'm going to put 1 cup of this mixture into my 1 cup measuring cup. There we go. I'm going to fill it right up, right full. And now for the rest of it, what we do, we spread the rest of the remaining of this in your prepared pan and spread it out over the bottom, just like so. Put it right in there. Just, you want to just pat it down a little bit. You don't want it packed. You just want to spread it, make sure it's all even. Make sure you don't have a bunch of big clumps. And there, you see how quick and easy that was. 6 simple ingredients. Now over top of that, you're going to put 1 cup of strawberry jelly. Again, you can use any kind of jam you want. I happen to have strawberry with raspberry and plum. It's E.D. Smith triple fruit. You can put any kind of jam. It obviously will change the flavor. Now this calls for strawberry jam. If you put grape jam in it, you know it's going to taste different than if you would have put the strawberry. And if you put blueberry jam, whatever you put, it's going to taste a little bit different depending on the flavor of the jelly. So you measure out 1 cup of the jelly, and you're going to spread the jelly evenly over the mixture and then crumble the bit. So we're just going to put it in there, little here, you know, just go round and round. And then just, it's hard to spread it because of the crumble on the bottom, you know, so you do want to spread it, like dollop it in there and then spread it. Because it does, like you say, oh, there's my dog barking at something. There's somebody at the door. Spencer, hush. And we just, he's a good watchdog, our lab. He would never in a million years hurt anybody, but I'll tell you, you got some pesky people coming at your door, and they don't want to leave. Just let them hear that dog barking. He's a 110-pound chocolate lab, and he's a little sweetie pie. He's the wussiest dog. He gets afraid of his own shadow sometimes, that silly boy. But that bark, I'll tell you, that would just drive everybody away. That pesky salesman or somebody promoting something or selling something that you don't want to be bothered with. I had some people come to my door and they wouldn't take no for an answer. They kept knocking. And then they walked around down the side of the house and came in my back door, and knocked on my back door. I said, really? Come on now. Don't you know that this is the same house? And I said to them, and I don't like to be rude. I mean, they're doing their job, but when you say no, it's no. Customers should be respected. And they didn't take no for an answer. I said, well, I'm going to let my dog out at you. Why did they leave? And the gentleman said he was going to call the police. I said, go right ahead. You're trespassing, and I asked you to leave. Okay, so now Spencer, stop barking, and that little explanation work's done. We're going to spread the rest of the mixture on top. The 1 cup of reserved peanut butter mixture. So you want to make sure you just go over it and sprinkle it, and you want to make sure all your jam is covered. You don't want any of it peeking through if you can help it. Just kind of spread it up and evenly around. And there it is, peanut butter and jelly bars. You're going to bake those in the oven for 35 minutes or so until they're brown, and then you cut them, and there you have it. I'm going to set my timer for 35 minutes. It says 35 to 40. I always do the lowest, like 35 to 40, so I do at least 35, so I'll do 37. Always do right in between. Check it as you go. Some ovens are different. Mine has got the energy saver, so I never cook anything higher than 350, otherwise it will burn to a crisp. I won't have anything good in there. So if you aren't going to be right out in the kitchen watching it, checking it every so often, set your timer. Okay, so now there's still time. So now I'm going to make some. Let me see. I can't do that. I was going to make some butterscotch bars, so I can't because I have no more brown sugar. So hold on a minute and I'll find me another recipe. Alrighty, I'm back. I have found another recipe. I could not make the one I wanted to make because I do not have any brown sugar. And if you're making butterscotch bars and you don't have butterscotch chips, you substitute brown sugar and flour and it gets the butterscotchy flavor. Don't have any, so here we go. I'm going to make honey drop cookies. So this one, you put everything in the bowl all at once, stir it up, drop them on the parchment sheet or lined or greased cookie sheets. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, and let's go with it. So, and it's very good. They're really good. They're not overly sweet. They have sugar, but not a lot of sugar. They're not disgustingly sweet where you don't want to, you shudder when you have one. I like a good cookie and I like it sweet, but I don't want to, feel ill after you eat it. So what we're going to do with this one is we need a 1/2 cup of butter. 1/2 cup of butter. Measure that out. Ready? 1/2 cup. And that's in the bowl. And then now for the eggs, you have 2 eggs and you have to separate them for this recipe. The first recipe is called for the whites. And then it's don't know why, because it calls for the sugar and the honey and the flour and then the beaten eggs of 2. I don't understand why it calls for you to separate them because you're throwing it all in at once. But for some reason, it says mix in the usual manner. For some reason, that's what it calls for. So here's an easy way to separate an egg. You take your egg, crack it into over a bowl. You don't need those eggs. Some people use their hands, but that's just nasty. It's just gross. So you take it and you use your eggshell as your separator. You let the whites pour out and toss the yolk back into the other half. Then you put it back in the other half and let that white fall off. And you keep going like that until you get your eggs separated. So I've got, let me see here, what have I done? Okay, the whites of 2 eggs. So it calls for the whites of the eggs first. So of course, I only have 1 bowl out, so now I need to get a bowl for my yolk. Okay, so again, take your, try to get this on camera for you so you can see it real well. You take your egg in the shell and you pour it into the other shell and then into the other shell, back and forth over the bowl until you get your eggs separated. Okay, so there we go, eggs separated. So I got the 1/2 cup of butter, the whites of 2 eggs. It says beaten dry, so I'm going to get my whisk. Oh, bang, slamming around here. I think when I made these before, I just went ahead and chucked off both eggs all the way in all together. It's been a long time since I made them, because I'm thinking you mix in the usual manner. You don't have to put this in and then stir it, and then put that in and stir it. But I'm thinking that's what it means with when you have to beat the egg yolks and do it separately. You mix it in. So we're going to beat these 8 egg whites. So it says to beat them dry. That usually means till they're light and fluffy. The reason why you're doing this, actually I do know why they want you to separate it, is because it makes the cookie fluffier. If you just put the egg in, you got a nice moist cookie, but this is a fluffy cookie. So we're going to go ahead and beat those egg whites. You can use an electric mixer for this, it's a little quicker, but there's only 2. I have a whisk, I have muscles, I'm not going to dirty up my mixer. So there we go, they're beaten, they're pretty good. In goes the 2 beaten egg whites. So now we're going to put in 1/2 cup of sugar. Sugar going in. We're going to give this a little mix, just gentle. You don't want to deflate your egg whites. You don't want to get all the air out of them. Just going to mix it so it's a little blended. Make sure the butter is all nice and soft and incorporated. And the next thing we're going to put in is a cup of honey. There we go. Squeeze my little honey jar. Honey is one of those things that I don't buy too often because it is a little pricey. They do sell it at the dollar store occasionally. It's $2 for a small bottle. And it's, depends on what your recipe calls for, how much of it you use, right? But once in a while, and we got this from a farm, somebody that has bees, and it wasn't too pricey. It's natural honey, and that's what makes it good. You almost don't mind paying the extra when it's pure natural honey like that. There's no additives, no nothing when you get it right from the source. So I'm just going to squeeze out, or I'm going to just make it just a cup left. Come on now. We're going to get this all out of here. All right. I'm going to put the other 1/2 cup in. Right out of that bowl. There we go. Now we want 3 cups of flour. Oh, where's my cup? There's my measuring cup. Here we go. This is going to make quite a few cookies, but they don't last very long around here. Kids like them, they take them, and these are something you can pack in your school lunches for your kids because there's no peanut butter. There's no nuts of any kind. So it's something that you can send. Honey is not a problem in the schools. They don't recommend you giving anything with honey in it to children under 2. It messes up their intestines and their digestive tract. So if you have little ones under 2, even though these are a soft cookie and they're good for them, okay for them to chew, I wouldn't recommend it. So we're going to give this a little mix, just because there's a lot in the bowl, and it's easier to to get it so you're not struggling to mix it all the way through. So, there we go. Now we're going to add in our egg yolks and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And that's going in. Yeah, we'll just finish mixing it up. Now it calls for the grated rind of 1 lemon. I don't have lemon. I have lemon juice I can put in there, but it doesn't call for juice. It calls for the grated rind. I don't like the flavor of wine in any of my, whenever there's a recipe that calls for it, I usually substitute it for a little bit of the actual juice from the orange or the lemon or the lime, whatever it is you're using. Now this is very, very dry, and it says to add more flour if needed. No, you're not going to need any more flour. So you just drop it by teaspoonfuls onto your baking sheet and bake them off for a moderate oven for about 7-8 minutes, depending on your oven. Again, start it at, like, if it's 7 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes, start it at 8, and just check them and adjust them as you go. Now this is very dry mixture. So I think I'm going to go ahead and add that teaspoon of lemon juice, only because it's very, very dry. The lemon juice will give it just that little bit of an extra flavor profile. It doesn't, grated rind of 1 lemon. So we're just going to put the juice of 1 lemon. And I'm going to mix that in. And that's going to help it so it's not quite so dry. You don't want a dried up cookie. Cookie batter, it should be a little moist. It should be a little wetter. There, that looks much better. I was going to add a little titch of milk if it still didn't look like it was going to come out. So, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and, now you drop these on your cookie sheet by teaspoonfuls and round them out. And again, I use the parchment paper because then you just take them off and you got your clean. You don't even have to wash your cookie sheets. You just put them right back in the cupboard. And I will use the parchment paper a couple of times. If the cookies aren't the kind, with the chocolate in it that leaks out, or if you're making cookies that have jam in it or something that, that kind of would burn or crystallize on the bottom. If it's not burnt out on there, then I will go ahead and use it a couple of times. That saves you a little money too. And you can buy parchment paper anywhere. It's not really expensive. I get mine at the dollar store. Here in Ontario, we have the Dollarama or Dollar Tree. You can buy individual sheets that are pre-cut, and that's fine. It's like $2, I think it is, for 10 or 12 sheets. Well, that's fine. But if you buy a whole roll of it for a couple of dollars, then you cut it to fit, and you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck doing it that way. It's not as convenient as opening and putting it on already done. You have to measure and you have to cut it. You decide how you want to do that, but this is what I do. So here we go. Honey drop cookies. Easy peasy. Just as easy as the peanut butter and jelly bars. I don't make anything too complicated. I don't use a lot of crazy ingredients. When I make brownies, sometimes I'll add walnuts, sometimes I won't, if we have them. It's just something that you just go with what you got. With baking, you can change up the ingredients. The amounts are crucial. You have to stick to the right amounts. If it calls for 1 cup of flour, you put 1 cup of flour. Because unless you're, if you're making double or tripling the recipe or having the recipe, then it's different. You change up those amounts, but basically you keep the same amounts. So there it is. There's our honey drop cookies. We're going to get those in the oven, and we're going to bake those off. And I will be back in a few to show you what everything looks like. Okay, everybody, we're back, and I have the peanut butter jelly bars out of the oven, and that is what they look like. They look so good. These are not finger foods. You do have to cut them and use a plate and a fork. There they go. There's a better picture. The jam oozes right through as you're eating them, as you're baking them. It comes out so nice. And here are the cookies, the honey drop cookies. That's not a good shot of it, is it? Try that one again. There we go. There's the honey drop cookies. And they come out nice. You notice that I have a lot on the baking sheet. They do not spread. So you can put like 4 in a row and like 6 down. You can get a lot right on each cookie sheet. You bake them. I did them for 8 minutes and 8 to 9 minutes. And they come out just nice and brown on the bottom. And, where are we? Here we go. Nope, that's not working. Okay, so nice and brown on the bottom, and just like that on the top, nice and soft. They're a nice, soft, fluffy cookie. And as always, the recipe and the ingredient listed will be in the description below. Make sure to like and subscribe, enjoy, and leave a comment. Leave a comment of what you'd like to see. And again, thank you so much to my brand new subscriber, Waverly8100. And if you didn't hear him, subscribe to Dino Brody. That's my grandson. He's got his channel as well. And while you're enjoying these lovely cookies and your peanut butter and jelly bars, hop on over to Reading with Grandma and sit down, cuddle up, read a story, and have a cookie and a glass of milk. Alrighty, till next time. Bye-bye.